with DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. In this episode, we're going to compare two juicers head-to-head against each other so you guys can find the right juicer for you. And that's what I do here at Discount Juicers YouTube channel. I've been making videos now for well over 10 years, maybe 12 years or something like that, comparing and contrasting and sharing with you guys all the different style juicers on the market so that you can choose the right one for you. Whether you're a juice bar owner or whether you're a home consumer, my videos can help you select the right juicer that's going to be perfect for you, because there are so many different kinds of juicers and so many companies trying to market you their juicers, telling you guys they're the best. I'm here to tell you guys my opinions as a juicer expert, #1 juicer expert in the world. I've been juicing now for 28 years, and I've been selling juicers online now for 25 years now. So that's totally amazing. And today we're going to compare the most popular, best-selling style juicer that's even sold today. It is the Centrifugal Ejection Style machine. Most people may own a centrifugal ejection style machine, a low-end one that may cost as low as $50, and if you go to a big box store near you, that's the juicer that they mainly sell primarily. It's rare that some of those stores will also sell a slow juicer, but most of them sell a high-speed centrifugal ejection juicer that I am personally not a fan of. Now, why is that? Why would the #1 juicer expert in the world not be a fan of the centrifugal ejection style machines? There's a few reasons. #1, imagine driving a car from the 1950s. Yes, they're built like tanks, but they get poor gas mileage. They don't have seatbelts. They don't have airbags. They won't auto drive like a Tesla will. All these things. They don't have all the modern advances. And this style juicer, the centrifugal style juicer, was designed and invented in the 1950s, guys. So the technology is quite old technology. Yes, it still works, and an old car will still get you from point A to B. And a juicer, even if it's old technology, will still juice for you guys. So before I get into this video comparing these two machines, I want to go ahead and show you guys the technology that I like to juice with these days, which is actually 50 years newer technology than these outdated dinosaurs. So the latest juicing technology is something like this. It's called a slow juicer, and instead of running at a high speed up to 13,000 RPMs on the Breville Juice Fountain Elite, or even 2,800 RPMs on the Vevor commercial juicer, this machine runs under 50 revolutions per minute. That means you're going to get a slow extraction on your juice. You're going to create higher levels of certain nutrients in your juice, and more importantly, you're not oxidizing the juice and adding a lot of oxygen or air into the machine. I'm not really going to talk more about the NAMA J2, which is my personal favorite juicer at the time this video is being filmed. I'll put a link down below to my video on the NAMA J2 and why it is my favorite juicer. In addition, I will also put links down below to where I compare the NAMA J2 to a Breville, so you guys could find out how this stacks up against the Breville. I will also put a link down below to the video I've made comparing the Vevor to the NAMA J2 to find out how these two stack up and the differences and benefits you guys could get from getting a slow juicer such as the NAMA J2, which makes making a juice as easy as brewing some coffee, literally, because you load up this hopper and then you could walk away. Unlike most juicers, you gotta continually put things in there. You guys want to learn more about the NAMA J2, you can visit them at namaweld.com and make sure you use my coupon code MODERN55. That's MODERN55, because this is a more modern juicer, guys. 50 years newer technology than these guys created in the 1950s. These were created in the early 2000s, this original design of this juicer, which is known as a vertical auger design. All right, so let's get back to the topic at hand, comparing these two high-speed centrifugal ejection style machines, right? Here's the thing I'll tell you guys. Every juicer has its own sets of pros and cons. The main pro of the high-speed machines, both these guys for that matter, is that because they run at a high speed, you can crank through produce rather quickly and be done juicing quickly. That being said, although you will take less time to juice, what you will give up in time, you will lose in nutrition and drinking an aerated juice that may cause excess gas and bloating. And in most cases, you also will achieve lesser yield, especially when juicing things like leafy greens, which really don't effectively juice in a high-speed machine, as well as certain fruits that may produce poor yields when juicing in a high-speed machine because it literally just kicks out the wet pulp into the hopper instead of juicing them. That being said, on something like carrots and root vegetables or really hard, firm fruits, right, these machines actually will get a decent yield, but once again, you still have that problem with aeration. Now, the other thing that's often said in the online community and online world, even here on YouTube, is that they say high-speed juicers heat the juice. I don't know where this myth comes from. It's totally fake. It's not real. I mean, I've tested high-speed juicers to see if they heat the juice, and they heat the juice no more than even a slow juicer. In my last test where I did testing with a thermometer gun, it was like 3 degrees more whether I used a slow juicer or a high-speed machine. Check the link down below because I'm the only guy online that actually will juice juices in different juicers and use a temperature thermometer to test the temperatures and show you guys the real truth about if juicers heat the juice and if it even really should be a concern or not. That being said, the main concern for me using these guys are the excess oxygen literally flung into the juice that can and will oxidize the oxygen-sensitive phytonutrients. So with that, I want to go ahead and introduce both these machines to you. Over on this side, we have the Vevor commercial heavy-duty juicer. Like literally, guys, this is made from the ground up for commercial use. It's nice and heavy-duty, and it's actually quite heavy too. As you guys can see, it's a lot larger than the Breville over there. I mean, this is a solid piece. It's basically stainless steel and cast aluminum that's polished. The main cast aluminum is this top housing, and then the main bowl is stainless. We'll be taking apart that in a second. And then over on this side, we have the Breville Juice Fountain Elite. This is one of the best-selling Breville models. It's been on the market for a long time. Some people may call this a commercial model. Don't be fooled. This is not a commercial model. Despite it being all stainless steel, it is designed for the home, and there are no commercial certifications on it. That being said, it is a nice piece, and it is a nice juicer that has served many people many years of good service, and I've had this machine for quite a few years as well. Breville continues to come out with new machines, maybe calling them Breville Cold or the Breville Blueser or all these different models, and basically they're still pretty much the same high-speed centrifugal ejection style juicer with a few minor design changes. So next I want to go ahead and talk about warranties on both these machines. They have a 1-year warranty. The warranty, of course, on the Breville is supported by Breville, which I would probably imagine has a little better customer service than the Vevor brand. I also like to talk about parts because, you know, you will need to replace certain parts on these machines, specifically the cutting blade that will dull and wear out over time. I did check the Breville website today, and actually they sell the cutting blade assembly with the screen for $40, and on the Vevor website the parts were not available, and I'm not sure that they even sell the parts or have those available for you guys to buy. That being said, I will also tell you guys that at present time when this video is being filmed, I don't mention prices in my videos, but this machine costs $50 less than the Breville, so that's quite impressive to me. Plus, I'm going to save you guys an additional 5% off. We're going to throw it up on the screen right there, right now. You can use that Vevor.com. Down below, use that coupon code for 5% off to save even more off the Vevor commercial juicer. Links down below in the description if you guys want to buy the Vevor commercial juicer with that 5% off discount code. Alright, next I want to get into how these machines specifically work. Basically, the Vevor comes with the machine itself and maybe like an extra locking clasp and a special tool that you can't lose. I don't like that you have to use a tool, because if you lose this tool, I mean, you could use a socket set to get the machine apart. And then meanwhile over on the Breville, you know, there's no tools or anything. You do get a collection jug to collect your juice. You don't get anything like that on the Vevor, and you don't get even a collection jug to collect the pulp. And on the Breville, you do get a collection bin. You could use like I use measuring cups or pitchers to catch juice coming out of the machine, and I just catch, you know, you could use an old pot or something or pan to, catch the juice out of this. Or if you're a commercial juice bar, you could just drill a hole in your counter and have a tube running right down underneath into a big compost or collection cup. So yeah, they have a nice container that comes with the Breville. So next I want to share with you guys all the different parts that are included with the juicer, and more importantly, how the machines work. If I had to pick one because I had kids, I would probably get the Breville because it has more safety features, whereas a Vevor is basically made for commercial uses, and they expect probably you're not going to have kids using it. If I had kids, I would not allow them to use this machine, because to me, this machine is not properly designed for safety, whereas the Breville is better designed for safety. That being said, if you are juicing with any children under 18 years old, I would encourage you guys to always supervise them when juicing. Don't let them juice alone unless maybe it's in like the NAMA, because that's a completely safe machine to use. Anyways, the main difference between these machines is the feed chute size. You can see this is the pusher on the Breville, which is basically almost double the size of the Vevor pusher. This has more of a traditional kind of moon crescent shape pusher, whereas this is more round, so this allows you to put in like whole apples up to 3 inches in diameter. And so yeah, I mean, this pusher is a little bit more than half of the size. That means the hole at the top of this is probably a little bit more than half the size of the Breville. So let's go ahead and take these parts off here. And this is the cool thing about the Breville, right? If you do not have this properly clamped down, the machine will not turn on. So I do like that a lot. And there's no such safety feature on the Vevor. So as you guys can see on this machine, you know, while it is almost all stainless, you do have some plastic. This does have a nice rake on it, and it just basically has a nice 3-inch wide stainless steel piece in here with a little block on the bottom. And if you notice, this piece is quite long, so to stick your hand in there, you know, it'd be really difficult to do that because this is a really long piece. So I like the safety involved. Meanwhile, over on the Vevor, we got a clicky snaps, and we could pull off this piece. Now this piece is 100% metal. No chintzy plastic here, guys. Now this is basically a polished aluminum on this side, and on the other side is basically cast aluminum, non-polished, and then they have a stainless steel inset tube here to direct the pulp down. Now I want to show you guys the chute size on this and the chute size on the Breville. Let's see if we put them up against each other. Yeah, I mean, I would say like the Vevor chute is maybe 75% of the size of the Breville, just looking at it. But the big challenge out of the Vevor chute, right? Like, look at the depth overall. This is really a safety issue to me, right? The depth overall is like, maybe like the Vevor chute is 50% more shallow. So it's really not that deep. I mean, I could just stick my fingers in here like this easily, and I could basically come down to the bottom and hit the blade. To me, like, that's not really that safe. I mean, it may work, but I really like the depth of this on the Breville, which makes it, to me, seem more safe. Next, coming out on the Breville, you could just basically lift this whole assembly up, and the juicing bowl, all stainless steel, comes out, as well as the micro mesh screen and the titanium coated cutting blade that has like a razor blade thing kind of poking up in the middle, and then just the little teeth on there. Meanwhile, on the Vevor, you can't just lift this and pull it out. That's where you need this special tool, and there's a little nut here that you need to unscrew. And once you unscrew that, and I want to tell you guys, you don't want to lose this little screw here with the little nut, because if you do, you're out of luck, right? Don't lose this piece. But once you do, then you can just go ahead and lift this whole assembly out, just like you can on the Breville. And once again, their bowl is 100% stainless steel as well. And this is their jumbo juicing screen. Look at this, guys. I mean, compare these two. I mean, that's what you get. A commercial machine that actually costs less, or a home machine that costs more. This is all stainless steel on the bottom, stainless steel on the mesh, stainless steel on the cutter blade. The cutter blade's all just basically stainless steel. Let's see if I could feel, I mean, the teeth are actually quite sharp on there. It actually looks like there's actually a lot more teeth on the Vevor than on the Breville. That being said, the Breville mesh is a micro mesh, and actually, so it's quite small and tiny, whereas the pore size on the Vevor is definitely larger. But overall, between these two pieces, I prefer the Vevor piece just because it's 100% all stainless steel with no plastic on the bottom. Also, because there is a lot more surface area on the screen, that means maybe you're going to get a higher yield. That being said, because you have less surface area on the Breville, it will take you less time to clean, because all these holes on this screen are subject to clogging, and you will need to basically scrub it clean when you're done. And then getting down to the juicing bowls, I mean, while both of these are stainless steel, you can see the Vevor just really dwarfs the Breville. And if I had to say which one is easier to clean, I would say clearly the Vevor is easier to clean. The reason why is that this is just basically a bowl that goes straight down, straight sides, and just a straight chute that comes out there. I'm seeing some weld marks that then got, you know, ground down in there. Whereas on the Breville, it's a little bit nicer construction. It's actually a bit heavier also. But the issue with this is that they have a two section. So they have one section with a lit lip, and then underneath here you got to clean underneath this lip, which is a bit more difficult to get into. That being said, this stainless steel is a thicker gauge than the Vevor, so this is actually a little bit heavier piece overall. And you know, I'm really not seeing the weld marks, you know, so it's a little bit better made is what I'm going to tell you guys on this piece. Yeah, so that's both these, and then getting down to the motor base, which we got a jumbled mess here. But you can see we got a motor base here over on the Vevor, and this machine is quite heavy. It's definitely more heavy than the motor on the Breville for sure. But the Breville motor is definitely a stout motor as well. Now the Breville motor is rated at 1,000 watts of power, whereas the Vevor motor is rated at 375 watts of power. I want to let you guys know, just because a motor has more wattage does not necessarily mean it's a better motor. That just means how much watts or how much energy it could be drawing, it could be pulling during its running. It does not talk about the torque or horsepower specification. It's clearly just the watts. Of course, this machine on the top, you know, has metal linkages, so it links up metal to metal, whereas on the Breville, it basically goes from the motor shaft onto a nice big plastic piece on the top here. In addition, as I mentioned, this machine runs at 2,800 RPM, whereas the Breville has two speeds and it runs up to 13,000 RPM, which is approximately 4.6 times faster. So this is, I would say, is an ultra high speed machine, and this is, I'm going to say, is just a high speed machine as compared to like a Nama juicer that runs around like 50 revolutions per minute. Alright, so next let's go ahead and assemble these guys, and definitely easier to assemble is the Breville. You're just going to go ahead and take the main juicing bowl. This goes on where the little cutout is in there. Drop that in there. Next we're going to go ahead and put on the juicing screen, and that just drops into place, locks in. Then we're going to go ahead and take the main top feed chute assembly. There's little notches here that line up with the notches here. That drops down, and then we could go ahead and clip that into place. If we did clip that into place, you can turn on the machine. If you didn't clip it into place properly, the machine will not turn on. Finally, we can drop our pusher down in there. Over on the Vevor, pretty similar to assemble. We're just going to go ahead and take this main juicing bowl, drop that in there. We're going to go ahead and then take the cutter and screen assembly, and there's basically two little holes that you need to line up with these two holes. So this is not quite as easy as the Breville, but it's not too difficult either. You're just going to line it up on the center there and kind of rotate it until it drops into place. Once it's dropped into place, then you're going to need that little nut, a little screw with a nut head on it, and we're just going to go ahead and drop that in and then screw it in. I like to screw it in manually at first. Once I got it basically finger tight, I'll then go ahead and take the T-wrench tool and just crank it down a little bit. And so now this is fully assembled. Next, we're going to go ahead and take the lid here, and this basically needs to drop on. There's like right underneath these hinges, there's a little hole right there. That little hole lines up with this little peg right here on both sides, right? So we're just going to go ahead and carefully line that up. This is definitely not quite as intuitive or as easy as the Breville, but once we got them all lined up, we're then going to go ahead and latch this down and clip it in, and latch this side down and clip it in. And then we are fully assembled. Of course, we got the pusher. We just got to drop in. So, you know, my personal assessment is that actually I really love the build quality a little bit more than the Breville for the whole machine, except for the pusher. The pusher should be like a solid piece in my opinion. This is definitely does not reflect the quality of the juicer at all. But nonetheless, on this, you know, while it is maybe brushed stainless, it is coated, and I have chipped it over time, whereas this is just basically more shiny stainless. So yeah, that's how both these machines assemble and disassemble, and how they work. They basically work by you put produce in there, the blade is spinning around 2,800 RPM up to 13,000 RPM. They basically micro shred. The juice and the shreds are basically flung against the screen. The juice comes out the front, and the pulp kicks out the rear on the Breville and over on the side of the Vevor. Next thing I want to do for you guys, I want to do sound testing on both these machines so that you guys can learn which one is louder. Alright, so we got the decibel meter here, and first we will go ahead and test the Vevor. This does not have a built-in safety, so if you do not assemble it properly, you can still turn it on and it may cause grinding and scratching if you didn't assemble it properly. So let's go ahead and turn this on. Alright, running empty. This is running out at 71 decibels, which actually is quite quiet for a juicer. When I did turn it on, it smelled like maybe like a house that you walk into that smells like mothballs. Over on the Breville, we're just going to go ahead and crank it up to the high speed level, which is the one you'd use for carrots, and we're going to see how loud it is. Alright, so that was peaking out at basically 80 decibels, so that's about almost 10 decibels louder than the Vevor. Of course, this is when, you know, they're being run empty. When you start putting produce in there, it may get a little bit more loud. And honestly, guys, one of the big negatives of the high-speed machines is that they are loud because they run very fast and they create more noise pollution than slow juicers, for example, that can, you know, be some of the quietest and are some of the quietest juicers out in the market. Link down below to my video I did many years ago about sound testing juicers and which is the quietest juicer. I'll need to make an updated version of that video really soon with all the new juicers on the market. Alright, as you guys can see, these machines are, you know, fairly similar in many ways. They're even a similar price point. Of course, the Vevor is a bit less, and also I would say the Vevor overall seems to be a more durable machine, although this is only the second or third time I'm personally using it, whereas I've used the Breville dozens of times over the years in many different videos. That being said, what's really important to me is not the specs on paper, how much the juicer costs, but more importantly, how the machine works. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and use carrots and oranges in both these machines, the same exact amounts, to see which one of these juicers will make more juice. But first, we're going to do the weigh-in to make sure we have a fair fight. Alright, so we're all set up and ready to juice. Let's go ahead and do a weigh-in. Alright, let's go ahead and do a weigh-in on the scales. Today we got organic carrots and organic navel oranges. Over on the Vevor side, looks like we got 1916. And then over on the Breville side, looks like we got 1916. Show you guys on both scales. So we got 1916 on both scales. So it looks like we have a fair fight. So let's go ahead and move these scales out of the way since we got the weigh-in all done. And today I'll be timing how long it takes to juice in each of the machines. Since the Breville is, about 4.5 times faster, it's probably going to be quicker to juice. First, I'm actually going to juice in the Vevor. In the Vevor, actually, I'll probably have to pre-cut the oranges, like just in half to make them fit in to the feed chute. So I have a little cutting board over here. So let's see how we can arrange this over here for you guys. Move the stopwatch up for you guys so you guys can see that. I guess without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and get started. So we're just going to go ahead and turn this machine on. Hit the start button there, and put the carrots in, and you guys can see the carrot pulp coming out and the juice coming out. So we just got to basically feed one or two in at a time. In order to speed this up, we're going to save you guys some time. We're just going to go ahead and speed this up for you guys. I always like to rotate the oranges and the carrots. Let's go ahead and speed this up and come back at you when I'm all done. Last carrot going in the Vevor. This has pretty much gone uneventfully. Pretty nice and easy there. Except we filled up our little bin there. Alright, so we're done juicing. Let's go ahead and hit the stop button. And as you guys can see in the Vevor, literally for about a quart of juice almost, took 1 minute and 43 seconds. Let's go ahead and turn the Vevor off. I really like how this was a nice low pitch noise, really quiet. And it worked pretty well. I did get some splashing of different pulp pieces on the top of the Vevor. There are holes in the top of this, which I wonder kind of why they did that. Because it just kind of seemed like maybe some things flew out of that as I was grinding. I'm not exactly sure. But we made a lot of juice, so let's go ahead and reset the stopwatch. And next, we're going to go ahead and juice in the Breville. So the time to beat is 1:43, and it looks like we made probably a little bit over 900 milliliters approximately. So let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead and turn this machine on the high speed. Turn that on, and we're going to start juicing. First, we're going to throw a carrot in. Wow, this is really loud, guys. close, really cranking out the juice there. We'll speed this up to save you guys some time. Alright, as you guys can see, the Breville was fast, a bit more messy because it was like literally spraying juice out of this faster than I could even deal with it. But it took literally a minute to juice, so it took, what, 40 odd seconds faster than the Vevor. And this appears that it made more juice, but did it really? That's going to be the interesting thing. So next, let's go ahead. I always like to tip up the machines a little bit to make sure we get any juice stuck in the bowl out of the machine. So that looks pretty good there. And let's go ahead and tip this guy up on the Breville. Get any last bits of juice out on the Breville as well. Now that we're done juicing, we're just going to go ahead and pour this into the other juice there. It didn't overflow, but this pushes a lot of air when it's coming out, and it could actually just make the juice splatter all over, which it splatter enough anyways. Alright, so there's both juices we made, and let's go ahead and show you guys the difference that these juicers made. It may appear as if the Breville made more juice, but did it? Alright guys, let's go ahead and compare these juices. This is very interesting to me, like, just what happened. Alright, so over on the Vevor, once again, 2,800 RPMs. You know, it's been sitting out a little while, not super long. You guys can see, I mean, basically we're filled up to like the 1,000 milliliter mark, but, you know, I say we got at least like 150 milliliters of just sheer foam on the top. That's basically because, you know, it's running at high speed. It's mixing in more oxygen into your juice, which then also causes your juice to, you know, have distinct layers. So you can see we have the bottom layer there is about maybe 450 milliliters of juice there, and then we have from 450 maybe to like 850 the second distinct layer of juice, and then above 850 I'm going to say basically is just sheer foam in my personal opinion. Meanwhile, if we look over at the Breville juice, once again, same exact ingredients, same proportions and everything. The bottom juice layer is only 200, whereas on the Vevor it was like 450. But then if we look, the secondary layer where it's, you know, just aerated juice a lot, goes from like 200 all the way up to maybe 950. So technically we could maybe say the Breville maybe made more juice, but then look at the foam layer on this. This is insane, guys. From like 950 up almost to the brim of the juicer is all foam. This is basically air that's going to give you extra gas and bloating because you're going to be swallowing air. In addition, all the extra air mixed into the juice, so now you have dissolved oxygen in the juice, will cause the juice to spoil quickly after you make it. That's why if you have a high-speed machine, I recommend you guys drink the juice right after you're done. Of course, if you have a slow juicer, you don't mix all this air into the juice. Check my other videos for that. But you guys can see this is a nice foam head, kind of like a beer head on the Breville. And if we go over to the Vevor, you know, this is significantly reduced, right? We don't have all that foam. You know, yeah, we have a little bit of foam, maybe like 100 milliliters or so of foam over on the Vevor, but man, what is that? Like, that's like at least 300 milliliters of foam on the Breville, which is absolutely insane. So to me, it's not super clear who won, because if there's a lot more oxygen in the Breville juice, then that's not really juice, it's just inflated. That being said, it would look as if the Breville actually made more yield, but it also put a lot more air into the juice. So I'm going to do the next thing, which is going to be quite interesting and eye-opening to you. And what this next test will do, it'll reveal how much dissolved oxygen is in the juice. I do this with all my juices, whether I'm making it in a high-speed machine, which is actually extremely rare unless I'm making a video, or I do it in a low-speed machine. I can tell you guys, a low-speed machine basically barely pulls any excess oxygen out of the juice. Let's see what these two juicers put in the juice. So how we're going to do this today is we're basically going to use some mason jars. So we're going to pour both our juices in the mason jar. That'll try to like mix it up a little bit again as well. And that's a little bit over the 6-cup mark. We're going to go ahead and pour the Breville juice into the mason jar. And this one's definitely approaching the 7 cup mark overall. But you guys could notice the difference in the colors, which is actually quite interesting to me. But what we're going to do now is we just got these special vacuum lids that I use to seal my juices and store my juices. Links down below to my videos on how to store your juices with a vacuum. And we just got a very inefficient vacuum pump. And so first we're going to go ahead and put it on the Breville and press the pump button. And I'll move this up forward so you guys can see what's going on. So this pump's coming on ever so slowly. And if you noticed what's happening here, maybe we'll speed this up for you guys so you guys can see it in high speed mode, is that the foam is actually raising up, because what we're doing now is we're basically pulling the excess oxygen out of it through the vacuum pump. So this foam will rise and rise and rise and try to attempt to pull maybe some dissolved oxygen out of the liquid by expanding the foam out. So we're just going to let this pump run a little bit. We'll speed this up until basically the foam does not increase any longer. Alright, I think we pretty much pumped it out on the Breville juice. Let's go ahead and remove the pump, and let's go ahead and put the pump on the Vevor. We're going to go ahead and get this sucked down and get this pumped up. This will kind of better reveal the true yield of the juice. Make sure we have a good seal on here and let this get going. Alright, it's pumping out, so we're going to go ahead and speed this part of the video up for you guys and come back at you when this is done rising. Alright, I think we got the Vevor juice to rise as much as it's going to rise, which is not much because there's not as much air in there at all. So we're going to go ahead and pop that off. And now I want to give you guys a close-up now of these juices now after we pull the air bubbles out. Alright, let's go ahead and give a close-up on these juices there. Over on the Vevor side, looks like we're right around the 4 cup mark there with juice, maybe a little bit more than 4 cups. And then we got basically like another cup or so of foam on the top. If we go over to the Breville side, you guys could see, looks like we also have about a little bit over 4 cups of juice, but then we got like basically 2 cups of foam on the top. You guys could look closely at the distinctive layering on that. So basically the Breville put in twice as much foam, and yes, it did make maybe a little bit more juice than the Vevor, but it also put a lot of extra foam in there. Alright, so the reason why I love to pump the extra oxygen out of the juice is I'll shake it up. Once I get all the oxygen shooken up, and it'll basically kind of make the dissolved oxygen go back into the juice and get rid of it. And then we could let off the vacuum on the lids. Listen carefully. And look at that. Now we basically took the oxygen out of the juice. Let's do that on the Breville. And look at that. After we deoxygenated the juice, you can more clearly see the level. Once again, a matter of fact, the Breville did make a tad bit more than the Vevor, but once again, the Vevor put probably like half as much or maybe even a little bit less oxygen in the juice. Now, since we did deoxygenate the juice, I'm going to go ahead and finally taste test the juice. And this is a long process, guys. Alright, so first, this is the Breville juice. I'm going to try de-aerated. I mean, it tastes like carrot orange juice. I'm tasting a little bit of texture in there, like little grit. It's alright. Let's go ahead and try the Vevor juice, see if that tastes any different. Wow. So that one, the Breville one, tastes kind of more hard, like it's maybe more oxidized, because it doesn't taste quite as sweet. It tastes kind of like, has this tad bit kind of bitter swing. And when it tastes the Vevor, it tastes much more mild. Actually sweeter and more neutral to me. I think that's the effect of the oxygen. And literally because they're blowing the juice out so fast, they're putting so much oxygen that's basically lowering the nutrition quality of the juice. Yeah, that was eye-opening. Hope you guys enjoyed like learning and going through this process with me. I mean, That's my goal here on YouTube, guys. Like, I want to educate you guys about the machines, their pros and cons, and go deeper than any other person on YouTube will go about juicers, because I have been selling juicers online for 25 years. I have been juicing for 28 years and always running funny little experiments like this, you know, de-aerating the juice, taste testing it, seeing which one made more, comparing juicers side by side so that you guys could benefit. I don't do this for me. I kind of know what's already going to happen, but it's always new information that I could add on to my repertoire of knowledge regarding juicers and share this with you, and more importantly. So in the end, I will have to declare a winner of this juice off, and if it was me and I had to pick between the Breville versus the Vevor, and the Vevor actually costs approximately $50 less than the Breville at this time, you know, the main disadvantage of the Vevor is that I'm not sure if you could get parts in the future and or how good the warranty will be on it. It does state it has a year warranty. Me personally, I would go with the Vevor machine. You know, not only did it put less, at least twice as much less air into the juice, it had a better tasting juice. And especially if you're not going to go through and do the vacuuming thing like I did, right, you're going to have a higher juice quality. That being said, I will say, due to the technology in the Breville and the higher speed, maybe sharper blades and the micro mesh filter, it did make a little bit more juice. Or maybe you're giving up a little more juice, but you're gaining more nutrition. And also, this was a bit more messy because it was flinging everywhere, actually, with the juice coming out. But this actually was a bit more messy with the pulp coming out of the top. So, you know, here's the thing, guys. Every juicer has its own sets of pros and cons. And I'm here simply to share with you guys the results and share with you guys the honest truth about what happens when you juice in different juicers. If you guys want to buy that Vevor juicer, use the coupon code I'll throw up right there to save 5% on this very Vevor juicer. Now, when you guys use that coupon code and use a link down below, Vevor will share a little small commission with me so I can continue to make these videos for you guys and share with you guys the truth about juicers. Of course, if you don't want to deal with all the oxygen in the juice and the low juice quality that a high-speed juicer makes, check the links also down below where I compare the Vevor to the Nama juicer or the Breville to the Nama juicer, so you can really see how the Nama juicer, a slow juicer, is so much better than either of these two juicers, in my opinion. So in any case, if you guys enjoyed this episode, hey, please do me a favor and give a big thumbs up on the video. Click the thumbs up. That'll help out the YouTube algorithm, push this out to more people so that they can learn the truth about centrifugal ejection juicers. Also, be sure to share this video with others that may be considering buying a centrifugal ejection style machine so that they could find the right one. And of course, if you guys have a juice bar and you don't need an NSF certified juicer, I'd go with a Vevor. It's a much more heavy duty appliance than the Breville that's, you know, made for the home. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss my new and upcoming episodes. I'll be coming out about every 5 to 7 days. You don't know our show up or what you'll be learning on my channel, what new juicers, vacuum blenders, or other equipment that allow you to eat more fruits and vegetables and other plant foods and process them in the best ways possible. Make sure you click the little bell to get notified as many videos come out, and finally be sure to check out past episodes. The past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 700 episodes at this time on this channel dedicated to teach you guys and comparing and contrasting all the different major brand juicers and other appliances that allow you to eat more plant foods and get healthier. Links down below once again to videos with the Nama versus the Vevor and the Breville versus the Vevor, as well as the reasons why the Nama is my favorite juicer at this time. So with that, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.